Today, we're going to break down one of the most important comparisons you can make when it comes to off-grid living and survival. $0 versus $10,000 survival setup. What actually changes, what doesn't, and what this really means in real-world conditions. Because a lot of people think survival is either about having nothing and figuring it out, or having expensive gear that solves everything. But the truth sits somewhere in between, and the gap between these two extremes is bigger than most people expect. Let's start at $0. No budget, no purchases, no ability to fix problems with money. Just whatever you already have, your environment, and your ability to adapt. At first, it feels possible. You look around and see resources everywhere. Trees for shelter, potential water sources, materials you can reuse. It creates the illusion that money is optional, that with enough effort and the right mindset, you can replace everything. And for a short time, that illusion holds. You can improvise a basic shelter, maybe find water, maybe even get a fire going. The first small successes feel powerful because they're direct. You're doing everything yourself. But very quickly, the limits start to show. Without money, you don't have proper tools unless you already own them. That means everything takes longer and costs more energy. Tasks that could take an hour with proper tools can take an entire day. And that time matters because survival is not about doing one task. It's about doing many every single day. Materials are another major limitation. You're restricted to what you can find or improvise, which means nothing is optimized. Your shelter might work, but not perfectly. Your setup might function, but not reliably. Every solution is temporary or incomplete. Water becomes a constant workload. Without containers, filtration, or storage systems, you're collecting and treating water manually every day. You can't build a reserve easily, which means you're always close to running low. And because making water safe requires time and energy, usually through boiling, it becomes a daily pressure you can't escape. Food is where the $0 setup struggles the most. Without money, you're relying entirely on what you can grow, forage, catch, or already have. But all of those systems take time and skill. Growing food takes months. Foraging requires knowledge. Hunting and fishing require tools and experience. So in the short term, your calorie intake is often lower than your energy output. And that creates a dangerous cycle. Less food means less energy. Less energy means slower work. Time becomes your biggest enemy. You spend most of it maintaining basic survival, leaving almost no time to build something stable. You're stuck maintaining a fragile system instead of improving it. Now let's shift to the other extreme. A $10,000 survival setup. At the start, the difference is immediate. You have proper tools, cutting tools, building tools, maybe even powered equipment. Tasks that took hours or days now take minutes or a fraction of the effort. You can build faster, more accurately, and with better results. Your shelter is no longer improvised. It's designed. Weatherproof, insulated, stable. That alone changes everything, because now you're not constantly reacting to the environment. Water becomes a system instead of a task. With filtration, storage, and possibly pumping systems, you're not thinking about water every hour. You collect it once, store it, and use it when needed. It becomes reliable, and that reliability removes a huge amount of daily pressure. Food is also completely different. With a budget, you can store long-term supplies and invest in cooking systems. You can even set up sustainable options like gardening or small-scale food production. You have a buffer. Energy changes everything at this level. With solar setups or batteries, you're not limited to daylight or manual work. You can extend your productivity, maintain communication, and power tools that reduce effort even further. But here's where it gets interesting. A $10,000 setup doesn't eliminate challenges. It changes their nature. Instead of struggling to survive day to day, you're managing systems. You have more responsibility in terms of maintenance, planning, and long-term sustainability. If something breaks, you need to know how to fix it. The $0 setup is high effort, low stability. You're constantly working, constantly reacting, and always close to a problem. The $10,000 setup is high stability, lower daily effort. You invest upfront in tools, systems, and resources. With $0, you're forced to learn quickly. You understand the fundamentals because you have no choice. With $10,000, you gain efficiency and stability, but there's a risk of dependency. Tools can break, power can run out, supplies can be depleted. If you rely on them without understanding the basics, you're back to zero very quickly. So the real difference is not just money. It's time and margin. Money buys you time. It reduces effort. It gives you a buffer against mistakes. It allows you to build systems instead of constantly reacting to problems. But knowledge determines whether those systems actually work long-term. The best survival setup is not $0, and it's not just $10,000. It's a combination of both mindsets. Because survival is not about having nothing or having everything. It's about having enough and knowing how to use it. If you want more deep, realistic breakdowns like this, make sure to subscribe to Off Grid Life Tech for more videos.